Alrighty, welcome everybody to our final session of the day. For those of you who may not have met me earlier in the Brooks, and I am one of the international admissions and recruitment officers here at Carleton University. It has been a busy morning. It's been a lot of fun getting to know a lot of the international students and parents that have been joining us in the chat and in our sessions. And just a quick recap of what we covered today, because we covered quite a bit. My colleague Katie started us off with her top 10 reasons why she picked Carleton and why she thinks Carleton is such a good option for everyone else. And then you met me and we talked about, choosing your program and a walkthrough through all of that. My colleague Anna took you through the admissions process and how to apply. We then heard from our student panel, which I love. Every time I get to hear from international students talk about the Carleton experience, it's something I really enjoy. And I really hope as potential applicants, you took a lot away from that particular session. And then of course, we were just joined by the International Student Services Office, the ISSO. They cover so many areas for international students. They really do so much, and it's so nice they were able to join us today and to be able to provide you with all of that valuable information. And now we get to close off the portion of the live sessions with a chat about residence, athletics, and of course clubs and society. As an international student, as you may already be aware, you are guaranteed a spot in residence on campus with an offer of admission if you receive it before May 15th. It's a huge benefit for international students as it gives them a spot to live, and it checks a lot of things off of their list that they might be worried about. Where you're going to live, how you're going to cook your meals, or who's going to make you meals, where you're going to do laundry and things like that. And today I'm joined by a colleague of mine, a good friend, Hary. And Hary is kind of the jack of all trades. He does everything at Carleton. He started out as a residence manager before coming on to our team actually and working alongside myself for a year. And he's now transitioned over to athletics. And although we miss him dearly, we're so happy that he's still at least a part of the Carleton community. So I'd like to welcome Hary to the event today. Hary, if you want to jump on in and say hello.
Hey, what a welcome. That is unbelievable. That is too much hype to live up to.
Yeah, well, I got to talk you up, man. You definitely deserve it after everything you've done at Carleton and with our community. And I just wanted to kind of, take advantage, I guess, of all the information you have stored up in your head because of everything you've done throughout the university. And I wanted to start by taking advantage of some of the experiences you have with our residents community. I'm wondering if you can kind of maybe just give me a brief 30-second rundown of what exactly you did in residence as a residence manager.
Yeah, of course. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. It's definitely an honor to be sharing the screen with Mr. Kelvin Brooks, who he himself is a legend amongst Carleton University. And then also, happy Diwali to anyone that is celebrating across the world. I just wanted to say that very quick and send my wishes. So in regards to residence and in my experience with it. Personally, I was working not only as a res fellow, which we'll talk about soon, but also a residence manager where I kind of helped oversee our residence community, where we have roughly 11 residence buildings and over 3,000 students, whether it's domestic students, international students, you name it, and just kind of help with that transition, whether you're coming from overseas or whether you're coming within Canada and coming to Ottawa for the first time, and making sure that transition between changing your life scenario and coming to university and living on campus was done in a smooth and well-fashioned manner. So that was kind of what I really helped oversee. And I can definitely get into more detail, like my personal experience, but it's definitely a place where you can make a lot of really, really cool, start your Carleton career off in a really good, well-fashioned, right step sort of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you so much. It's incredible the amount of work you did over on the res team and just how much you were able to help our first year students and even our upper year students too. And I kind of started off this part of the presentation by mentioning, of course, that students do have guaranteed residence, and students, I guess, are eligible for a guaranteed double room, but we do have additional options. I'm wondering if you can just walk us through the different styles of residence that may be available to our students.
Yeah, so you got it. So if you get an offer admissions, you automatically get are guaranteed a traditional style residence. But we have different types of residences that are available to people as well, right? Technically, the two different type of styles that we have are the traditional style, and we also have the double style that we have as well, but also the single style. So you can be in a single residence or you can be in a traditional double. That being said, there are certain buildings on campus that are traditionally only singles, and they have like certain floors that are only singles, or maybe they have a mix of the two. And we also have suite style residences as well, where essentially it'd be four like single rooms, the quote unquote, with four people of the same gender in that same style. So as kind of Kelvin said already, so you're guaranteed that traditional once you have an offer of admission. And then a lot of people do try to get a single room if they want to do that. And that's whole portion is a different setup in and of itself, where you essentially have to apply to get that. And obviously there's different circumstances that you can get a single style residence, for example, if you have medical documentation or there's a certain reason as to why you would need that, but you definitely can apply to get something like that. But it's not to say that a single style is better than a traditional style. It really depends on your needs, right? I personally really like the traditional double style because that's when you're really entrenched in the community and you're on the community floor. You get to meet people right away. And especially coming from an international community, I think that is a very big benefit. And personally for me, I had never lived away from home, and living in residence and living in a traditional double style area was what really pulled me out of my comfort zone and made me just get to know people. And then from there, that's how I started making all the connections that I did. So I would almost like tell people that traditional double styles is the way to go with no bias, but you can kind of get jumped into all different types of styles, really depending on what your needs are.
Yeah, it's so funny, Harry, that you mentioned that. When I received my offer of admission and my guaranteed residence, I thought for sure I wanted a single,
Yeah.
and I applied for it, and I didn't get it. And I remember I was devastated. I'm the oldest of three kids. I didn't want to have to share my things. And I remember getting into my room, meeting my roommate, and I just remember us hitting it off right away. And I think without him there, I really wouldn't have had the same university experience. And to this day, we're still really good friends. You know, I entered university in 2013, and, 7 years later, him and I are still good buddies. So I agree with what you said about valuing that experience of having a roommate and how much it can really bring out of the overall experience. So thank you so much for sharing that. You mentioned earlier too that you were in fact a res fellow beforehand. I'll be honest, I didn't know that about you. I always thought you were just a residence manager. But with residence fellows, they play such a key role in the residence experience. I'm wondering if you can just tell us more about what exactly a residence fellow is and what exactly they can do for our first year students.
Yeah. So truth be told, I was also a residence fellow, and it's not that I'm shy to share that, but at the same time, the residence fellow experience is a really, really cool and unique one. So a residence fellow is essentially an upper year student that lives on your floor that helps guide you through your year, right? So it's someone that is essentially in their second year onwards, and they can be a grad student, they can be the second year, third year, fourth year, you name it. Right. And they're there to essentially help you when you're going through your, again, transition through the university life and going from where you're coming from to Carleton Res. Right. And they have, and you've used this term jack of all trades, but they really are the jack of all trades, where they're there to help you out through your life experiences when you're transitioning for the first time. Right. Like, because at the end of the day, you might have been coming from a household where you had your family around you, whatever that may be. Right. And then you're coming from that to then potentially being in a single room and living by yourself, or living with someone that you're meeting for the first time, right? So they're there to help guide you through that, whether it's helping you through interactions, helping you through something as simple as like, how do I do laundry? Where does the detergent go? Where does this go? Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It took me a little bit to get there, but we got there. But anywhere from something like that to even like, okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna come up with a roommate agreement where you kind of talk about, okay, we're gonna agree upon like this is gonna be a cleaning schedule that we're gonna do in our dormitory, where Harry's gonna clean on Monday, Tuesdays, and then Kelvin's gonna clean like Wednesday, Thursdays, and then so on and so forth, right? And kind of help those conversations that you may be having for the first time, right? So they're like a be-all, end-all resource where they're just really there to help and support you through everything that you're going through. And I will tell you right now, out of all my experiences, both professional and working as a student staff, being a residence fellow was probably my most favorite experience, just because you have so many people on your floor and you get to be such a great resource to everyone, but then also just get to know so many people. And we're kind of like a mentor in that regard. And it's a very highly sought after position that people like to be applying for, but it's a really, really cool position to be able to really get your hands on the people that are around you.
Yeah, residence fellows are incredible supports and just overall incredible people. I remember mine in first year. I still remember him to this day, and I was just so happy to have someone to assist me with all that, because I didn't know I had to separate colors and whites when it came to laundry. I didn't know there was cold water versus, I didn't know any of that. And then obviously on top of that, they just offered so much support. And the roommate agreement is a key thing as well, because I feel like that really allows students to really express themselves and what they need from their roommate and what they're expecting. And it really helps that bond. I remember after having that particular meeting, my roommate and I really felt like, we were going to be together for the next 8 months and really have a great experience overall. And, residence fellows, they do offer so much support, but there are additional supports too. I'm wondering if you can just maybe elaborate on what other sort of support students can find throughout their time in residence.
Yeah, for sure. So residence is like the be all end all stop for like supports generally. So there are a lot of different places that you can go if you're looking for some sort of support. So outside of like a residence fellow, they also have something called a peer mentor, or like a mental wellness mentor. So that is it. For example, you're just looking for someone to essentially be a guide through your year, right? Where you're having maybe some issues where you're trying to go through either academic concerns, or if you're going through just like transitioning from home concerns or whatever that may be, or it doesn't even have to be anything concerning. If you just want to talk to someone and be able to speak to someone about your well-being and how have you been, right? The residence department has this like peer connection where it's just another student that is also qualified to have those conversations to just help you through, again, your transition. So you don't have to feel like you're going to just your residence fellow. But we also have our own residence counseling experience as well. So on campus in the residence sphere, there's our own like counseling office. So if you're just looking to go to talk to someone, that is the perfect spot to start. Whether it's like you feel like you need to talk about something a little bit more escalated or not, like it's a perfect place to go. And I won't be shy to tell you that I've definitely gone and experienced that too. And it's actually just really nice to just be able to sit down and talk to someone that will be able to understand how you're going and how you're feeling, right? There's other really cool, unique opportunities too. Probably my favorite to mention is the CU Therapy Dog program that comes through residence quite a bit, where essentially, as it sounds, like it's therapy dogs, where essentially the university has this program where you essentially get to cuddle dogs to make yourself feel better. And it's like probably the best program that has ever been introduced in any sort of university setting ever, because then you're just sitting there petting dogs and somehow your feelings are all better. So that's a great program that's there as well. And there's also really, really cool ways to just get involved. So if you're looking for just other ways outside of just specific resources to help you, but you want to also, for example, expand your portfolio, you want to become a student leader, whatever that may be, there's a lot of roles within the residence department that you could be apply for. We also have our own Rideau Residence River Council association. I don't know if I said that right. It's really long, where you can get involved as a floor rep perhaps, and you can be the representative of your floor and you can advocate for things for your floor. So there's all these different really cool and unique experiences that are kind of unique to Carleton too, that you can really get involved in too.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing. I remember my floor, we called them our floor reps in first year. We would always, he arranged nights where we'd go to the pool on campus, and they opened up the platform and the diving boards, and we would just go and hang out, do flips and stuff. And we had so much, back before it hurt as much. I'm getting older now. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I really appreciate how personally you made that too. I mean, I definitely use the support services in residence. I mean, for myself, I never left home as a kid. I was so homesick coming to Ottawa, even though I am Canadian and I grew up an hour flight from the city. I was just super homesick. And it's funny now, obviously, you and I me currently being in and you having been in the role of international recruiter, it's amazing how far along these things come. And I guess that support, really helped. Earlier when we had our student panel, a couple of the students highlighted the dining hall as well. And I don't think it would be a true residence presentation without highlighting the dining hall and obviously the meal plans that are associated with that. I'm wondering if you can just tell us a little bit about the dining hall, maybe what services they offer, and of course, meal plans.
Well, what I will say is I have an apartment that I rent. And I will tell you right now, I barely lived there because the dining hall had so much food to offer me that and I'm a foodie, I like to eat. So I practically lived in that thing. There's so many food options. Whether you're like, okay, today I'm going to try and eat healthy, or today is my cheat day and I'm going to try and like eat something that I really enjoy. Like there's a lot of different food options that you can go through when it comes to the dining hall or the caf. The way it works when you're coming into res is you have an unlimited meal plan. Right. Obviously, you can decide to change what your meal plan looks like, but that is traditionally what people end up getting is an unlimited meal plan, meaning that essentially you can go for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or midnight snack, whatever it may be, to go and grab some food from the cafeteria. And they have an array of different dishes. There's certain days they have certain meals, like maybe today they'll have I don't know, like a corn dog day or something, right? Like every day there'll be something a bit different. But you'll see typically they have the typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the people that work there like to add their own little spice and add their own little creativity to some of the styles in the food too. But I'm not kidding when I say they have so many really cool food options, and I personally have tried a lot of them. And then also if you have specific dietary restrictions, whether it be okay, you're lactose intolerant, or there's other certain foods that you can't and cannot eat, can and cannot eat. We have our own dietitian on campus that works through the cafeteria. So you can just say her name is Jane, wonderful lady. You can just be like, hey Jane, I'd like to set up a meeting with the dietitian and she'll be more than happy to meet with you to kind of speak about what you can eat and what you can't eat. Right. And from there, they'll make specific meals for you to then come and pick up. So you can just say okay, so I'm going to come tomorrow at noon to pick up my food. And they'll be like, okay, great. I'll make this specific meal for you. Right. And right now, obviously, with COVID-19 and everything that's going on in the world, what we're doing right now is a food drop off system where there are people that are literally dropping the food off in front of your door. So then you don't have to feel like you're going too far out to go grab your food or whatever that may be, depending on your comfortability, whatever that may be. But yeah, there are some really, really cool options that are there for you. And trust me, you might end up seeing me there. So.
And all the incredible food options, and you had to go with corn dogs. You could have gone with sushi, buttered chicken, roast beef, the vegetable medleys, the salad bar, the ice cream station.
The corn dog is slept on. I just will say that.
Well, again, thank you so much for this walkthrough. And I think we can both agree that the overall experience of residence for all students is generally very positive, and it's something that we always kind of encourage students to partake in, because it really helps with that transition into university life. And especially for international students, it crosses so many concerns off the list for them because it's all taken care of right away. So
totally agree.
I really appreciate kind of elaborating on your experiences in residence. And obviously, after you were with the res team, you came over to international admissions and worked alongside myself, and we had a lot of fun covering the globe and Carleton international students. And then you left me. You left me, man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to break your heart.
You moved on to bigger things. You moved on to our athletics department, and now you oversee our Welcome Center, a group of student staff. You do so much, and you've just continued to increase your Carleton knowledge. And I'm wondering now if you can kind of tell us a little bit more about what athletics can offer Carleton students.
Yeah, for sure. No worries. So exactly what what Kelvin said, but I should be calling him Carleton. But what Kelvin said was that, so I oversee the two front desks that are at athletics. So if you come to our athletics community, whether it's in our Ice House building, which I'll get to in a second, but also our Alumni Hall building, you'll see my staff sitting at the front desk, and I essentially oversee the day-to-day operations of both buildings. So from there, Kelvin's right. There are a lot of things that I have learned as I've continued to work through there, and there are a lot of really, really cool opportunities that are available to you. Generally speaking, as you would assume from an athletics facility, there you have the general things that you can do where you can work out at our actual fitness center. So we have this really nice gym that continuously is being renovated year after year, to that, and it's really spacious, and you'll see that you'll have a lot of people that are around there that tend to work out in that fitness center. So we have that. We have a huge pool. I will tell you right now, I can't swim, so I've dipped my toes in every now and then, but the pool itself is really, really nice. It's one of our biggest pull factors, where you'll see a lot of people will come in and enjoy the use of our pool. We also have our own specific courts, whether it's basketball courts, so usually where our varsity basketball team plays, it's called the Raven's Nest. You can do anything from like campus rec basketball in there, so or like the other campus rec sports. So by what I mean by campus rec is just students all across Carleton just coming in and having dedicated time to just play sports, right? So it could be campus rec basketball, it can be campus rec badminton, it can be all sorts of different sports. And then also you can even do something like intramurals, where you can put a team together with your friends and face other students that are on campus, which is by far my favorite thing to do, because then afterwards at the end, there's like a championship t-shirt that you get, and you get ultimate bragging rights. So like when you're walking around campus, you can be like, yeah, I'm a Carleton intramural champion, and I'm not going to brag. I was a 2-year champ in soccer, so just going to put that out there. But yeah, so you have that as an opportunity as well. But then you also have other really cool things that you can get involved as well. So for example, if you're looking to potentially get into sports and you want to move from just the intramural level and you want to potentially get into clubs, or if you want to get into varsity and things like that, there's different ways that you can get involved that way too. So if you're looking to be part of clubs and varsity, there are different connections that you can go through, which you can obviously look through our website, but then also when you're here, you can connect with us here. But we have different coaches and different club teams that we can connect you with, and you can start getting that conversation started. And those two levels are a little bit more competitive. So when it comes to the club nature, that is a little bit more it's like one step up from intramurals, in the sense that you're competing with other schools around the city and also around Ontario. And the same goes with varsity, where it's just a difference in distinction, but it's the exact same thing, where you're facing different universities. So it might be like Carleton versus Waterloo in soccer or whatever it may be, right? So it's really cool, because then you can kind of get to up your game, and then also at the same time get involved with other people around the university as well. That in and of itself, there's tryouts and things like that are involved with that, where you would connect with the certain coach that's involved, and they all have different methods and ways that they do things. So my best advice to anyone that is trying to get involved in that capacity is honestly, you can connect with Kelvin, who I know that is already on this chat, and he will then toss your information to me, and I can share with you the correct people to get in touch with. But it's also very accessible on our website too, to kind of look up our information as well, the certain coaches that you want to get in touch with. But outside of just those areas as well, we have all different types of fitness classes. We have all different types of really cool, unique things that you can get involved with, whether it's like cool programs. So for example, something that I'm sure Kelvin was a part of was we used to have this thing called Storm the Barn, where essentially what would happen was Carleton has a little bit of a healthy, fun rivalry. I'm going to use the word rivalry, but it's not really a rivalry, with Ottawa U, where Ottawa U and Carleton University would face each other in basketball. And what they would do is you would try your best to then go to their territory and their university setting and represent Carleton as much as you can, right? And then the same thing in football, where we would have the Panda game, which is one of the biggest things that happen at Carleton, where again, Carleton University and Ottawa U face each other, and there's a really cool football game. And I will tell you, I know nothing about football. I think real football is with your feet, but I get in trouble for saying that, so I'm not going to expand on that. But from there, you'll see almost everyone from the Carleton communities out there just cheering on their football team. It's really fun. It's really cool. So there's all those kind of really cool, unique ways to really get involved. So yeah, but I will definitely love to expand a little bit more on some of the opportunities. What do you think of that, Kelvin? Is there anything that I missed that I could have definitely hyped up a little more?
Of course not. No, as always, you cover everything. I think you understated our sports rivalry with Ottawa U. I mean, obviously, when it comes to academics, we are very close friends and we cooperate on quite a lot of things. But as soon as you strap on your soccer cleats or your basketball shoes or any sort of sports attire, it becomes a bitter rivalry.
Oh,
And Carleton seems to dominate. I'm not afraid to
yeah.
say that. So,
It's
but
yeah, it's funny to see they have this like panda trophy. To name that's where they got its name. It's like a panda game, so that's why they have the panda trophy. And it's this huge thing. So we have this giant trophy case in our athletics facilities. And you always know when we haven't won the panda game because there's this little missing hole in the trophy case where a little golden panda used to sit. And right now, sadly, it's not there. But I'm sure we'll get that
it will be back
soon.
soon. And thank you, Harry, so much for covering all this. Residence athletics, like I said, you've done everything. And you mentioned the website, you mentioned the email that will be posted at the end of this presentation. And just keep an eye on the time. As always, Harry and I always love to catch up, get caught in conversation, and just talk about Carleton because we both do truly love it so much and really value our experiences that we've had and continue to have. So, Harry, for the sake of time, I do have to say thank you so much for joining us today. I greatly appreciate it. And to all the students, if you want to see some of the facilities that Harry was talking about, as well as other areas of Carleton's campus that you might not have been able to see in the past due to COVID, you are able to check them out now online on our virtual tour, carleton.ca/virtual tour. You can see everything that athletics, residents, and the rest of Carleton has to offer. So, Harry, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully I'll see you on campus again in the future.
You guys are in good hands. Kelvin will take care of the rest. All right. You guys take care. It's nice talking with you guys. See you later.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harry. And one thing this virtual tour does such a good job of capturing is the Carleton campus. It's beautiful. I really can't stress this enough. It's one of the things I fell in love with. But another thing I fell in love with during my time at Carleton was the community. And that's something that can't necessarily be captured in a virtual tour. But luckily today, I have with me Osman. And Osman is a member of the Carleton University Student Association, or CUSA. And he is the Vice President of Student Life. So he is one of the key members that really ensures that every Carleton student is welcomed into this community and really benefits from everything that they have to offer. So I'd like to welcome Osman now. Osman, if you're able to join us, please come on in.
Hey, how are you doing, Kelvin?
Good, I'm good. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. So Osman, you're the VP. You're a pretty high-ranking member of CUSA. It's an honor to be sitting down and talking with you today. And thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend to join us.
Thanks so much for having
I guess
me.
just to dive right into it, yeah, we're always happy to have you. Just I guess to dive right into it, can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly CUSA is and what they do for Carleton students?
So CUSA is basically your student association. So we're basically represent the 26,000 undergraduate students at Carleton University, whether it is your dental and health plan, whether it's just your events. Fun fact, Carleton has the most clubs in all of Canada. That's a true fact. So if you want to come to Carleton, you should because of that reason. But we just represent you and represent your interests. We advocate for you. So there's a lot of big things that CUSA essentially takes care of and works closely with the university to make sure it happens.
Yeah, that's incredible. And CUSO they had such a huge impact on my experience as a student from getting me involved with things like orientation week and all the different clubs that the university offers. I'm wondering, obviously you're the VP now. CUSA had to have had some impact on you. I'm wondering if you can kind of tell me about how your involvement started at Carleton and how you came to learn about CUSA and transition into being VP student life.
So how my story kind of started, funny enough, was fall orientation, as you mentioned right before. Fall orientation is basically our frosh week. It's welcoming our students to sort of come to Carleton. This year happened virtually, so many students must have seen it virtually, as it obviously is a different world right now. But it's usually fun. It's fun because you'll have people walk around, introduce themselves, and sort of build that community vibe. So for me, the first thing that happened was another vice president of student life in my first year walked over, had a conversation with me, talked to me, and then it sort of built that whole community idea. So I said, next year I'll become a fall orientation facilitator. So then I became facilitator. And then afterwards, the good thing, just as was mentioned earlier, that the Rideau River Residents Association, has their own representatives for the floor that get sort of voted on. It's the same thing with CUSA. You have people represent your faculty. So I got represented for my faculty for the faculty public affairs. And then a sort of stage up there, I ran for executive and got voted by the students to represent them. So that's sort of how my experience started, just by chatting and having a nice sort of welcome week, saying hey to somebody, and it sort of inspired me to, get involved in my community.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's such a fun journey. I mean, for me too, fall orientation kicked off so many great things for me. And I too, as a facil, followed it all the way through to being a vice head and then a head. And that week of fall orientation is some of the best weeks that I ever had in university. Obviously, you've been involved in a lot of extracurriculars. I'm wondering if you can just maybe explain to students the importance of extracurriculars and getting involved just outside of your studies at Carleton University. How important is that to their overall experience?
It's definitely important. As much as school is very important, you also have to focus on yourself and what you enjoy. And being young, 18 to 24, 25, like that is the age where people tend to explore and try different sort of hobbies. So it's not just sticking, obviously focus on your school, but enjoy the moments, because it honestly will define your sort of life in some aspects, right? Because if you're not going to
Mhm.
enjoy these clubs, these societies and stuff, you're going to lose an experience of university, because at the end of the day, when you graduate, you're going to remember the friends you made, the bonds you made, and the community you had. So I suggest every student should get involved in student life, whether it's just having a nice little intramural thing, which I've done for years, to just maybe even just being a rep for your residents.
Yeah, and I think Carleton and CUSA, everyone at the university does that so well. They make it so easy to get involved. And one of the ways they make it so easy is, of course, by offering so many different options. I mean, you mentioned that we have the most clubs, and I'm wondering if you can tell me maybe more about clubs and societies, what they are at Carleton, how many we have, and maybe if you've been a part of any or some of your favorites that you might want to highlight.
So we have 300 plus club and societies, so there is a club for you regardless. And we have a multitude of clubs, whether it's cultural clubs, business clubs, etc. So have I been a part of a club? Definitely. It's definitely sort of enhanced my experience for Carleton. Whether it's even just our video game club, TESPA, which is very, very huge now. They actually win tournaments for ESPN, which are broadcasted live down in the States. So our clubs are very advanced in that aspect, whether it's just a culture club, because let's say you've moved overseas from a country and you want to stick together with your people from there and sort of feel a community vibe in that aspect, we have that for you as well. So clubs and societies, you're not just somewhere to fully just hang out, do you, but it's somewhat a second home for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, so many different ways to get involved. I remember myself as a student, I was a part of a club. They've changed names now, but I believe it used to be called Red Zone, and it was a club where we went to all the Carleton home games and just cheered on our varsity athletes. We got the best seats, we were the loudest fans, and we always made sure that people within the club and even just people in attendance were having a lot of fun. So definitely something I always promote. And on your screen in front of you now, you can see just a few of the over 300 different clubs and societies that Carleton has to offer their students. And I'm wondering, with 300 or over 300 clubs with so many options, how can a student go about learning about these particular clubs and societies and what they offer? How can I learn more about these opportunities?
So the easiest way to learn about it is if you check our website, CUSA's website, you can actually see a full list of every single club. So you can look at every single club and sort of decide for yourself which club you want to join. If not, the easiest other way is we have our Instagram account, CUSA Online. If you message us and even talk to us, we will reply to you and let you know what clubs we have. Even if you just want to have a quick little chat, we're there for you at the end of the day. We represent you and we care for you.
Awesome. And then, of course, too, a part of fall orientation as well. Expo, I believe, is the name of the event. It's another way students can introduce them to it as well, correct?
Yep. So Club Expo is actually during fall orientation, and it's like one dedicated day for people to actually walk around, talk to clubs. It was held online this year with obviously a little fewer clubs, so students could explore and change their rooms. But it's might be one of my favorite events of the year, because you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of students walking around, going through the lines, talking to different clubs, and clubs will have all their booths set up. It's in our athletics field house, which is obviously huge. And it's just a way that you can literally move over, talk to different clubs, and get to know people.
Yeah, I remember for me as a first year too, all the free giveaways and stuff. I think I walked away with like 20 different lanyards for all the clubs that existed. It was so much fun. As we kind of come to the end of this presentation and this open house this morning, I'm just wondering if you have anything else you'd like to add in terms of what else students can expect from CUSA next year, and how things have have changed this year with COVID. I'm just wondering what things will look like for next year.
For sure. So, I had the lucky experience of growing up overseas actually. So I'm not an international student, but I grew up overseas for my basically whole life from middle school to high school. And there's a lot of things that CUSA and Carleton offers you from just my standpoint, being a student who came here, in my opinion, sort of I would say separated from Canadian community and sort of just putting myself in there. It's such a welcoming community, and it honestly is such a good thing. Whether it's online events right now because of COVID, we host online events for many times. We're gonna do 12 days of giveaway during December for reading week, sorry for exam week, and there's a multitude of events that are just sort of attract students, and they're online events. Whether it's our trivia, which happens bi-weekly on Thursday. It just sort of enhances your college experience from actually just coming out and seeing this, whether it's online or offline.
Yeah, well, again, Osman, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you walking us through everything that Carleton has to offer, and especially CUSA as well. I really hope the rest of your year as VPSL goes well, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future, and good luck with exams as they come up next month.
Sure, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, thank you. And to everyone else in the presentation, again, all of the contact information of everyone from this particular session today can be found on the screen in front of you. Osman's email and the CUSA website, where he mentioned you can see a full list of the 300 clubs and societies that Carleton offers. You're gonna have to scroll for a while with there being so many. And Harry too, from Athletics and Residence. His general email is down there at the bottom of the athletics website as well. And of course, you can always contact myself and the rest of my colleagues for any questions you may have going forward. And today I have the pleasure of wrapping up the virtual booths for this online event today. We really appreciate you joining us today. It was a lot of fun connecting with everyone in this virtual world, and this is something we had never done before. This is our first virtual open house for international students, and we were so happy to be able to get together so many different Carleton staff and students to be able to share their stories and everything with you. But it doesn't end here. First of all, literally it doesn't end here, because our Q&A and our chats will be open for another hour, but also your overall journey doesn't end here. On the Brazen platform, on the virtual platform you're on right now, there is an abundance of resources available to you. You can check out all the links of everything we've covered here throughout our different sessions and presentations. I encourage you to go through our website, explore everything we have to offer, and really check out exactly what Carleton can do for you. Obviously, as we've promoted throughout the entire duration of this open house, you can contact us. We are here. With COVID, unfortunately, we are not traveling this year, but fortunately, that means that we are available at all times almost. So you can reach out to us. We can arrange one-on-one appointments, our chats, our online events. Please continue to ask questions, and please continue to look at ways to get involved and apply at Carleton. So again, just a major thank you. Please stick around for another hour if you have any questions and you want them answered in the chat. My name is Kelvin Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope that I will be able to see you in the fall on Carleton's campus. One more time on the screen, you'll see our website, 360.carleton.ca, as well as our email, our socials as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see some of you in the Q&A, and good luck with the remainder of your terms, and we will see you soon.